Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidhiyate. A small note, we may go 5-10 minutes over because why?
We'll finish.
Yeah. Yatha, page 50 in this book. Yatha Dehoham Purushoham Brahmanoham Shudroham Asmi Iti Dridha Nishchayah Tatha Naham Brahmanah Na Shudrah Na Purushah Kintu Asangah Satchidananda Swarupah Prakasha Rupah Sarvantaryami Chidakasha Rupah Asmi Iti Dridha Nishchaya Rupa Aparoksha Jnanavan Jivan Muktaha. So just as there is all these identifications, right? As soon as you get up, what is the identification? With the body, Am I awake? What is hurting? What is okay? How will the day go? Yeah, that is identification is with the body, because what wakes up is the sign of waking up is manifest through the body. The eyes open, the thoughts are alive. Hiranyagarbha comes in the form of thoughts and says, okay, it's time to get up now. And then Annamaya shuts down the alarm. Manomaya says, should I wake up? Should I not? Yeah. Vijnanamaya says, what do I have to do? Anandamaya says, let me enjoy this bliss of sleep for a little while longer. Why are you waking me up? You see, so all these things that I consider I are waking up, and then, so the identification is there. So as soon as you wake up, there is the feeling, I'm a human being, correct? Nobody questions that. I'm a human being. Nobody thinks, let me just check my hands to see if they have become hooves. Nobody says that. Let me look at my face, in case I see a goat. Nobody says that. Yeah. Even if one is a Capricorn, what is that goat sign? Nobody says, have I become a goat? Nobody says. Cancer doesn't say, have I become crab? Nobody says that. Because that I am a human being, that is what is called Dridha Nishchaya. That it is a conviction that is so deep rooted that it will not go away. Every minute I have this conviction. I am completely convinced. And this conviction is just born out of what? Ajnanam and habit. So the answer is very simple. What is a Jivan Mukta? A Jivan Mukta is the one who is able to replace this wrong conviction. What is this wrong conviction? I am finite. I am only this much. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, but I'm a better idiot than the other person. This is also another conviction. The one who is able to, replace these set of wrong identifications, these convictions based on wrong identifications, with the correct identification. So just in case you start wondering what is the correct identification, the Guru here helpfully gives some suggestions. Yeah. So instead of saying I'm a man, I'm a woman, I am, upper class, middle class, lower class, whatever it is, I have a degree, some people say. And some people say, what? I don't have a degree, but I have a pedigree. And then somebody else says, I have a double MA, this man said. Double MA. How come you have a double MA? I mean, we thought you never even finished high school. How come you got a double MA? No, since I have turned 60 and started to get gray hairs, all the neighborhood children call me Mama. Mama means uncle. Everybody says Mama, Mama. What is the spelling of Mama? M-A, M-A. So you can write after your name, I'm a double M-A. Yeah, so all these wrong identifications are replaced with the correct identification. What is that correct identification? We should know by now, but just so that this is a brush up. So what is the first identification? Asangaha. And in front of Asangaha, look, Kintvasangaha. Asangaha, I know what is Kintvasangaha. What is that? Kintvasangaha means what?
I'm a part of humanity.
No, but Kintu Asangaha. I'm not this, but I am this. It's just a kind of connection, the Sanskrit way of writing. Just to make one, if one is slightly sleepy in class, this will wake one up. Kintu, but I am what? Asangaha. Asangaha means what? Connected to everything and suffering because of everything. Correct? No. Opposite. Yeah. Uninvolved with what is going on, because that I is truly uninvolved with the body, mind, sense complex. It obtains as the observer, and that observer always is unaffected by the changes that take place, because the observer is unchanging. The unchanging I is not affected by the changing things happening in the body, mind, sense complex and the neighborhood. Simple. Asangaha. Then what? Satchidananda Swarupaha. I am that which is Sat, which is the only thing that exists without changing, and which is that existent thing is not like a rock on the wayside. What is it? It is sentient, and it is existent without limits. It is sentient without limits. The existence and sentience are limitless. Then what? Then further hints are given. I am Prakasha Swarupaha. My name is Prakash. No, that's not. Everybody cannot say that. Only the people whose name is really Prakash can say that, right? Everybody cannot say my name is Prakash. So what is this? Prakasha Rupaha means what? I look just like Prakash. Correct? No. Prakasha means self-shining. That nobody has to say that you are the one, you are because something else is. Because are you there means what? You'll say, you have to say yes. So that light of lights, which is the I, cannot be denied, and that is what is called Prakasha Swarupaha, Prakasha Rupaha, same thing. And then what? Not only that, okay, I am all this, but then this neighbor is small, and this neighbor is the idiot. He's the problem in my life. I am Satchidananda fine, but the neighbor is not. That is negated by what? Sarva Antaryami. Here, ya to move. Ya means to go. Yati, Yami, Sarvantaryami means the one that is Yamin actually. Yami, don't think it is, first person singular. Like Bhavami, Yami, no. Sarvantaryamin, yeah. The one that has the capacity to be all pervasive means the truth. Because I am Prakasha Swarupaha, Asangaha, Satchidananda Swarupaha, that means what? Everything is that. So what is me? What is you? No difference. Yeah. Everything is that alone, and that is without limits. So therefore, it is just, it's beautiful. It's really, so this is how the suggestions, these are actually contemplations. This is how to contemplate. So when that tiny, stupid, boring thoughts come, some of them don't have words. Then you have to say Satchidananda Swarupaha. And before one practices this, one will say it with gritted teeth. All right, oh Satchidananda Swarupaha. And then slowly one has to open the mouth and say it properly. Ah. Otherwise, what happens? It's like a spiral downwards. Yeah. Keeps on going, going, going. And then you say, oh, I don't feel like getting out of bed. Oh, one person says, another person says, I'm not getting sleep. I don't feel like going to bed. So, both ways it is in the thicket of samsara. And the samsara has to be banished. And the samsara is banished by the threefold way. What is the threefold way? One is the Shravanam, listening to the teachings vanishes, because you cannot contemplate without understanding what to contemplate on. If you tell a roadside person you are Satchidananda, keep saying that, their life is not going to improve. Even if they say I'm Satchidananda, I'm Satchidananda, that's what they will say. Their life is not going to improve. Maybe some phala will be there because of that, the words associated with the Veda may bless them. But you have to know the meaning. And how are you going to know the meaning? Through the exposure to the knowledge with the help of the teacher. And that was said only in the last class. Yeah. If you don't believe me, go look at the archived classes and listen. So you have to know what you're contemplating on. You cannot just contemplate on something, that you don't know. Even any kind of desire that comes, the desire comes because you know that thing. And so, when you desire ice cream, it's a known ice cream that is contemplated upon, correct? Yeah. Even if it's an unknown flavor, the ice cream is known and the flavor is kind of known indirectly. And that is what it is. So you have to know the meaning of these words and recall the meaning of the words. Much like a cow that is first hungry, these what is this called, free range cows, these cows that are put out into the pasture, they don't have the same sense of time like the humans do. They don't know how long they are there, so they just quickly eat the grass. They don't chew, they don't do anything, they just swallow everything. And Bhagavan has given 4 stomachs. Then what happens? Then after that they sit somewhere in the sun, and then they regurgitate, and then slowly, it is called ruminating or chewing the cud. So similarly, an eager beaver student of Vedanta comes and wants to read, quickly listen, quickly listen. And then later, after listening, the meaning of these words have to shine, have to be regurgitated in the mind and chewed upon slowly. That is called contemplation. This is a advice that this is how one has to do. And when the thoughts, I am finite, I am a useless idiot, I am boring, nobody likes me, nobody loves me, I am abandoned, what is the use? Nobody cares about me, that is replaced by I am Satchidananda, I am Asanga, I am Sarvantaryami, I am Prakasha Swarupa. That person is said to be Jivan Mukta. And please know that this is not replacing one set of thoughts for the other, and it's not positive thinking. Yeah, it's not thinking positively. That doesn't work. Some other time I'll tell you why. So that is the thing. And so then that is when the person is known as Jivan Mukta, the one who is firmly convinced in the true identity of one's true identity. Not only the one who knows, but whose identity is not subject to being, being subject to the winds of fortune. Like, somebody said to me, I am fine until I meet this person. I said, what happens when you meet this person? I start to question myself. I start to question myself when I'm in the company of X. So I said, don't be in the company of X. Well, he happens to be my husband. So What are you going to do? And Bhagavan arranges things like that. The person who is questioning themselves will marry the ultimate questioner. And this is how it is. Yeah. So, it's all, everything is a big arranged marriage by Bhagavan. Yeah, even if one is against arranged marriage, it is being arranged. Yeah, because Bhagavan manipulates meet.com or wherever people go to meet. Such people will get that only. And then the children are also like that. Yeah. The most calm parents will get this hyper kid. They wonder how we gave birth to this. The kid is jumping off the ceiling without candy, and the parents are in Om Namah Shivaya position. And because there is something to learn. There's something to learn, that balance. The kid, of course, has something to learn, but the parents also have something to learn. So this is all like this. And so the conviction is not just based on, oh, I am this. It's not about repeating that. It's about knowing that this is completely how everything is. This is how it ought to be, and I am in this place which cannot be displaced. So regardless of whether it's a child or a spouse, a wife, a husband, all this cannot bother me. So that is what is to learn. So you have to learn this in spite of the spouse, in spite of the child, in spite of the neighbor. Yeah. Not, and then that is when the knowledge becomes pakka. I don't need to translate the word pakka because it has made it into the English language dictionary. Okay, next. Brahmaiva
Brahmaiva
asmi iti
ahamasmiti
अपरोक्ष ज्ञानेन
aparakshana
अपरोक्ष
aparoksha
ज्ञानेन
jnanena
निखिल
nikhila
कर्मबन्ध
karmabandha
विनिर्मुक्तिः
vinirmukti
स्यात्.
syat.
Yeah. So now, of course, this is a famous human question. What is the human question? इससे मुझे क्या मिलेगा? What do I get out of this knowledge? Why should I study this? Why should I read this? Why should I understand it? Because I could be doing so many things. Why should I spend it here? And for such people, the Phalashruti is given. The fruits of the knowledge are enumerated here. So here the teacher says, through this knowledge, which knowledge? Brahmaiva aham asmi iti. The knowledge that I am Brahman alone, meaning I'm not Brahman, plus Jagat. I'm not Brahman plus some complexes. I'm not Brahman plus this, whatever. I am just consciousness. I am Ishvara. I'm nothing but this. When this understanding is there, understanding here is jnanam. When this knowledge comes, how? Aparokshena. Aparoksha. See, the knowledge can be of three kinds. Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means what? What is this? Nobody knows. We should cut it and we'll find out. It looks like a pear, but it looks like a mango. Looks like a pear, looks shaped like a mango. And then, so what is this? Then you say whatever it is, and that is called direct knowledge, pratyaksha, because you use your sense organs, the direct sense organs, as a means of perception, and you get this pratyaksha jnanam. Then there is what? Paroksha jnanam. Please go to this new restaurant that has just opened up. Really, where? Just behind that other shop. Oh, is it good? It's very good. And already one is feeling hungry. Correct? Yeah. And so this is, but do you have direct knowledge? No. You have indirect knowledge. Indirect knowledge means if the knowledge will always be little delayed. First you hear about it, or you read about it, or you see it on the net, and then you go there later. Correct? Same like one place, Valley of Flowers in the Himalayas. You read about it and then you say, oh, I should go. It blooms in September and that's where I should be. Yeah. So this is called Paroksha Jnanam. Somebody tells you, you read about it, and then it is something yet to be experienced. And so, what is the Atma? Somebody tells you about it, and then it is yet to be experienced. It is Paroksha? No. It is Pratyaksha? I show it to you right here, and you see it? No. The Atma alone, the knowledge of the Atma comes under the third category, which is the only thing that comes under the third category, Aparoksha, non-remote. Non-remote. You know? What is this non-remote? How can a knowledge be non-remote? Because it is with you all the time. When is the I not being experienced? Huh? Tell me.
Never.
Never is it the I not being experienced. What about in sleep? In sleep also it is being experienced. Except that the mind is not there to cognize that experience until later. Mind is also is part of the sleeping thing. So the mind says, never mind, and then later on you wake up and then you say, I slept well. How do you know? I slept so well, I don't remember anything because the I was awake. The I is a constant, source of experience. The I is not even, the I is an experience without being an object. It's a very, very interesting thing. The I is experienced without being an object. Like, when you say, I experienced this pear and pango, you know, to experience this, you have to at least be looking at it. Correct? That is one experience. Or you have to be holding it, looking at it means what? Priya. Holding it means moda. Eating it means what? Pramoda. See, these are all, various stages of experience. Correct? Yeah. But then throughout this time when the stages of experiences are there, what is happening to you? You are the subject and it is the object, right? It is the object. Is this the object? And I am the subject, correct? This is the object. This is the subject. The subject object difference always prevails in and through the experience, right? So, in and through the experience, the subject object difference prevails. But when I say, I am, try thinking, I am. Yeah, I am. Don't say I am an idiot. That can come later. That can be reserved for later. So, don't reserve it for later. Okay, I was just kidding. So, when you say I am, does the I become an object? No. So the only thing that is a matter that is constantly experienced without being an object, without being ever an object, is this I that is free of limitations. How lovely is that? So it is aparoksha swarupa, nitya aparoksha, sakshat aparokshat brahma. This is a mahavakya. Sakshat aparokshat brahma. And sakshat means always available in the play in as the witness, sakshat. And what? Aparoksha, directly. Nobody should say, I am witnessing your witness. That is not possible. Yeah, the witness of you is the witness of all. And so this sakshat aparokshat means never away from anything, that which is always something to be experienced without being split into the experiencer and experienced. That is I. So nitya aparoksha. So aparoksha jnanena. Through knowing this so the Atma is always experienced. Why? Because it is self-shining. Why is it self-shining? Because nobody else needs to shine a flashlight on Atma and say, are you there? So it is self-shining. It is always obtaining in this world as the truth of this I. When? All the time. And then when you go to the Guru and the teacher takes away what? Takes away the cataract. Takes away all the problems associated with the I. Takes away the finite, what's its name? The finite associations. Takes away, born out of ignorance. So sweeps away the ignorance, leaving the aparoksha jnanam. So aparoksha jnanena, through this direct knowledge of the Atma, what happens? Nikhila. Nikhila means what? Everything. Every what? Karma bandha vinirmuktihi syat. One is freed from all karma. Oh, now I'm going to sit up because now I'm really interested in what the teaching has to say. This is how I free myself from karma. Yippee! Let us read how that happens. Karmani kati vidhani santiti. How many kinds of karma are there? Who is asking? Teacher, right? No. Student is asking. How many kinds of karmas are there? And the teacher says, Santi iti chet. That should be the this thing. Yeah. And agami, sanchita, prarabdha, bhedena, trividhani, santi. Yeah. So karma means it's just one karma. What are you talking about? It's just a whole bag of karma. But you want to really get up close and personal with karma and split the hairs and give them names. Here you go. Yeah. And what are the names? Sanchita. Can you say that? We'll find out now what all these are. Very interesting and rather intense, but fun. Yeah. Agami. And then finally, prarabdha. Yeah, so if you really want to divide them, the teacher says, Sanchita, Agami, Prarabdha, they are known. So how many karmas are there? Threefold. Threefold karma. Karma that is divided into three bundles, three suitcases. Yeah. So that is what it is. Then what? Student asks another question. Agami karma kim. Yeah. Now we have to understand the context of the question of karma. The karma is being asked for whom? For the Jivan Mukta. Very good. Yeah. It's not for the ordinary person, because if it was the ordinary person, it would have been discussed in the first portion of the three of all the the three karmas. In the first portion, when they discuss the mind, body, sense complex, they would have discussed it there. But here we have just finished talking about, we are still in the context of what is Jivan Mukti. And by Jivan Mukti, the three karmas are freed. And what are the three karmas? We just learned. And then so when the student asks, Agami karma kim? What is this Agami karma? It should be understood within the context of having gained this knowledge. For the wise person, what is Agami karma? Agami means yet to come. Yeah. Gami means that which is going. Agami means yet to come. So the one that is to come karma, meaning in this life, whatever the person does, what is this Agami karma? So, and the answer is Jnanotpatti Anantaram Jnani Deha Kritam Punya Papa Rupam Karma Yadasti Tat Agami Iti Abhidhiyate. Yeah, so this is not for the ordinary person, this is for the person of knowledge. So for the person of knowledge, what is the meaning of Agami karma? So those karmas that are done after the knowledge has been attained. After one is firmly convinced, as soon as one wakes up in the morning or at any time during the day, I am nothing but Asanga, Prakasha Swarupa, Chidakasha Rupa, Sarvantaryami, Sachidananda Swarupoham, Asangoham, when I know all the time, then what is the Agami karma for such a person? The Agami karma is Jnani Deha Kritam. Very interesting definition. It's those karmas performed by the body of the wise person. You see, why the body? Why the body? Because the wise person has no doership. Kartritvam is absent from the wise person. The wise person is not identifying with the action. So if the wise person, throws a flower or throws a stone, why will the wise person throw a stone? There was a Zen master was there. What is that Zen master? He was living somewhere in Japan, and he had some drastic ways of teaching. We hear this is a true story. And what did the Zen master do? Zen master did not wanted to just lead a quiet life, and the students were firmly convinced that if I just sneak up on this Zen master and touch his foot, touch his feet, I too will get the knowledge. That much Shraddha they had, because he was a very highly evolved Jnani. Jnani means person of knowledge. So they would brave the weathers because he was somewhere high up in the mountains, and he would be standing there to creep up from behind him and touch his feet. And nobody would make it. Why? Because the Jnani was ready for these people with boulders. Yeah. And he would throw the boulder, and we hear that his aim was not very good. So he was never convicted of any homicide or anything. He would just throw it. It's like firing a shot into the air. It would scare people, but it would not do anything. And then there was one determined young man who said, I am going to touch this teacher's foot no matter what happens. And while everybody was going, from from the front, he said, it doesn't matter which side I touch the foot from. So he scaled the mountain from behind, you know. So he said, I'll touch it from via the heels. So I'll go this way. I won't go the other way. I'll go this way. And this side was much harder to scale. And he creeped up almost. And then he touched the feet. And the Jnani was both startled and so angry that he had closed this thing. And then he just put the boulder on his head, which apparently led to, that's a drastic way of sweeping away ignorance. And the person came out, crawled out from under this rock completely and enlightened. That is the story, So why are we into this story? Why are we telling this story? Yeah, it's the body of the Jnani doing the karma. There is no identity, there is no doership. Correct? Yeah. So, Jnani deha kritam punya karmam. So, the body of the Jnani is doing puja. Punya karma means what? Punya, good karma. So, let's say the body of the Jnani is doing puja, abhisheka, and all these good karmas. Or handing out some, doing some charity work, whatever it is. That is called Jnani Deha Kritam Punya Karma, the good karma done by the body of the Jnani. But the Jnani cannot do bad karma. What do you mean Papa karma? Papa karma means what? Supposing the Jnani is walking and while walking steps on a small something without seeing. While breathing, you breathe in so many things that die, which are microscopic. That's why the Jains will put white cloth. And even if you put white cloth, you will be breathing in all kinds of things that pass through the white cloth. So that's why we don't put white cloth. And so even though one is committed to ahimsa, things happen, Yeah, things fall in the tea, in the Jnani's tea, and the Jnani drinks that tea. So some small papa punya might be there, but it is merely at the level of the body. And sometimes the Jnani may give advice. Why would the Jnani give advice? Because people go to the Jnani and say, what should I do? Should I do this? And there was one Jnani somewhere in India who never said no. And people did not know, that he never said no. Because when they asked him, this is a joke, okay? When they asked him, do you never say no? Do you ever say no? He said yes. Don't take that seriously. The rest of it is true. So they were very confused because they would go say things like, should I hang myself? I mean, figuratively, and the Jnani would say, yes, it was a yes, Baba. Yeah, Hanji wale Baba, it is true. He always said Hanji. Yeah, Hanji means yes. So he would say, somebody would say, shall I go, shall I go jump off a cliff? Yes, and shall I go do this something horrible, And the whole idea was what? That for certain things you should use your own viveka. And don't just like you don't ask the Jnani, should I have lunch and dinner today? You don't ask the Jnani certain things. You have to come from your own discrimination. But anyhow, so he didn't know how to say no, and he would say yes. And some people got angry because they did what he said or what they thought he said, and then they got into some loss and some bad business and everything like that. And so that would be, and they were angry at him, so that could be, even though his intentions were not at all like that, that could be the an example of jnani deha kritam papa karma. So the body of the jnani, here the organ of speech, doing some karma that is inimically perceived by certain people. And then what? So that is called agami karma tad iti abhidhiyate. And then whether the jnani is affected by this or not, we'll see a little later. It explains it, so I don't want to go into this here. Sanchitam karma.
Sanchitam karma.
Kim.
Kim.
Yeah. So what is Sanchita karma? It's sounding like that TV game. Yeah. And then what? Ananta koti.
Ananta koti.
Janmanam.
Janmanam.
Bija bhutam.
Bija bhutam.
Sat.
Sat.
Yat.
Yat.
Karma jatam.
Karma jatam.
Purva.
Purva.
Arjitam.
Arjitam.
Tishtati.
Tishtati.
Tat.
Tat.
Sanchitam.
Sanchitam.
Jneyam.
Jneyam.
Yeah. So here Ananta Koti Janmanam of birds. How many birds? Ananta, endless, countless. Koti. Koti is how many? What is one koti? Huh? 1 crore means how much? 100 lakhs? No, that is no. 100, 10 million. 1 koti. Yeah, 10 million. So 10 million into infinite. How much is that? That many birds. Ananta koti janmanam kritam. So all the karmas. But then when you're a dog, you don't, if you are a dog and you kick, one dog bit somebody on television, and that dog, will it get bad karma for biting the nose of the TV person? No. Why? Because the dog is, the nature of the dog is to bite. Yeah. And the biting dog will not get karma because there is again no doership. You have to see this. No doership is there. The dog is not responsible for its action. And if you sit down and say, Rover, you did a bad thing, don't bite, it is not going to stop. It cannot. If it feels threatened again, it will bite. So that is the thing. So the dog is absolved from doership. So this Ananta Koti Janmas, how many births we've had? Janma means birth. How many Janmas we've had? One has had. And so out of this, all would not be human Janmas, correct? Some will be dog, cat. Are they counted? No, they are not counted. So this Ananta Koti Janma is only human and human-like. If there is some other place in the universe where there is free will and the ability to abuse this free will, this human-like Janma or human Janma is alone counted. Aneka Koti Janmanam, and then what happens to that? It becomes a seed. What is the seed? For future births. Bija bhutam. Bija bhutam sat yat. And what is this seed? Karma jatam. This seed is born of karma. And where did I get this from? Purva arjitam. It was earned by me alone, not by the neighbor. I can't get the neighbor's karma. Neighbor cannot get my karma. And even within married couples, you cannot take each other's karma. That one will they have their own karma. You will have your own karma to deal with. Yeah. So the karma is there, and this karma is called Tishtati, means it is not going anywhere. Tishtati usually means stays. But here it means that karma is not going anywhere, means what? It is there in an invisible bank account. In a karmic bank account of which Gupta ji is the treasurer. Who is Gupta ji? Huh? Chitragupta ji, the original banker. Even now accountants in India are called Guptas. The word Gupta means hidden. Why? Why is accountancy hidden? Because there are double books? No, because the karma is not known by us. That is how hidden. only Bhagavan in the form of Chitragupta knows. Nobody else knows. Even the person who is, who is experiencing the karma doesn't know. Only by default we have to say, this may be my karma. Yeah, this was my karma. And so this is called Sanchita. Sanchita is a big bank account somewhere at the invisible location. Don't ask, is it in Cayman Island? Is it is it in Switzerland? How do I get access? It is in some land, okay? Yeah, which is not available to you. You cannot access. Yeah, it is like a big, you know, big bank account, huge, in which you can have endless forms of life, endless births, endless fears, endless sorrows, endless sufferings, with thrown in with few good things in between. Yeah, all kinds of shoka are there. Yeah, all kinds of lokas, all kinds of shokas. Shoka means sorrow, loka means experiences. Yeah, all kinds of lokas and shokas are there, and this is what is called Sanchita. Out of this, one portion is broken away, just like you have a whole lot of pie dough. Let's say you may need dough to make about 10 pies. I'm not going to say 10 million, it's kind of hard to see. So you make a dough to make about 10 pies. Out of that, you want to make pies, want to keep the rest frozen, frozen assets. And then out of that, you want to break off one pie because you're going to make one pie today. So that broken off piece of dough is going to be called prarabdha karma. Don't say, where does the prarabdha come from? The prarabdha comes from Sanchita only. Yeah. And where does the agami, what I do in this life is called agami. Where does that go? That goes back to the original bank account. So Sanchita is huge. Yeah. So from Sanchita, you break off a small piece of dough, and if you are a Westerner, you will roll out a pie. If you are an Easterner, you will roll out a chapati. Yeah. And that chapati then is put straight on the fire, and that is the heat of the karma in this life. One is being roasted by the karma. And if you say, I didn't put it in the fire, fine. It goes into the straight into another heating source. What? Oven. That is again, yeah. Slowly you heat up, yeah, and you bubble inside. This is called prarabdha. Or you put it into the microwave and hot air surrounds you. This is the effect of the karma. So this is sanchita karma, is all the karmas ever committed with free will, not without free will, with free will and a sense of doership. Then only it counts as karma. Purvajatam tishtati tat sanchitam jneyam. Now, prarabdham karma kimiti chet. Yeah, if it is now, then asked, if the teacher says, if now you are going, I know what you're going to ask, because you know he knows the students' questions. What are the last two questions? Agami karma kim, sanchitam karma kim. So what would have been the next question? Prarabdham karma kim. So the teacher says, prarabdham karma kimiti chet. So if you are going to ask what is prarabdha karma, please listen to the answer. Idam
idam
shariram
शरीरम्
उत्पद्यते
उत्पद्यते
इह लोके
इहलोके
एवं
एवं
सुख दुःखादिप्रदं
सुखदुःखादिप्रदम्
यत्कर्म
यत्कर्म
तत्
तत्
प्रारब्धं
प्रारब्धम्
भोगेन नष्टं भवति.
भोगेन नष्टं भवति
प्रारब्धकर्मणां
प्रारब्धकर्मणां
भोगादेव
भोगादेव
क्षयः
क्षयः
इति.
इति
Yeah, so idam shariram utpadyate. All right, utpadyate means this body that is created in this particular world, and this body becomes a source of what? Happiness and pain. The body itself becomes a source of discomfort and comfort. And in different lokas it is created. Some lokas have more pain than others, correct? And we see this so many times. I have quoted this Ananda Mimamsa. Mimamsa means analysis. So if you even take the ideal type person here, somebody rich, famous, not wanting anything, healthy body, healthy mind, and if you say that is 1 unit of human ananda, then if you look at other lokas, Devananda means what? Devasya Ananda means it is 2,500 times, 3,000 times multiplied the human happiness. 300,000 times is Ekasya Devasya Ananda. And then you multiply that by 100, then you have Indra's happiness, etc., etc. So different lokas have different levels of happiness. And even in one loka, there is different levels of comfort and discomfort. Some bodies are born screaming, yeah. And some children are, born so sick, they have to be in ICU for the first 3 months of their life. Why? Because they were born premature. They were the size of one small palm. And then, they were 2 ounces they weighed. You have heard stories like this. And they have to be inside where do they have to be? Inside that, what is that called? Incubator. They have to be inside the incubator. Even the parent cannot hold them and touch them for quite some time, even with the gown and everything. So the sterile gown they give, even then, so that is a particular karma, correct? And sometimes what people are sick from birth to death, something or the other, every day keeps on unfolding. Particular karma. And some people, they can eat you also and digest you and nothing happens. Certain karma. Yeah. So the body itself becomes the cause of this unfolding sorrow and pain and happiness too, which is what, when we heard what the body was, the gross body is bhoga ayatanam. Means what? It is a vehicle for the expression of good and bad karma. We saw that earlier on. Much earlier, when Sthula Shariram Kim, you look at that question again, what is this gross body? The answer is the body is just a home for the expression of karma. It's a vehicle for the expression of karma. So if you start taking this body seriously, as though it is the only thing that is there, then the saddest person in the world is that person who makes that mistake. Ati mudha, you know. So therefore, the body keeps expressing the karma. That's okay. That is what the body is supposed to do, right? And then what? And then that is called prarabdha karma. Ihaloke evam sukha dukkhadi pradam. So having created this body, what creates the body? The karma itself creates the body. Where in the particular world where it is born, and even in that world there are differences. What differences? America, a certain kind of life. India, another life. Yeah. And even in the dog's karma, I told you this, there is differences. Some dogs, even though they're born in India, they enjoy themselves. They have a Mercedes Benz take them at 4 o'clock for a round. Yeah. And so, some other dogs, they are just permanently three-legged because they came under one leg, came under a car, nobody took them to the vet, nothing. Yeah. And same way here, not that all first world dogs are lucky. Some dogs, they are rounded up by the pound because it is roaming around, and then it is, and every city doesn't have that the shelter which keeps them permanently. Shelter means for 72 hours or 1 week or whatever, they give some time. After that, moksha, finished. So this is what? This is, even in the dog's karma, there is gradation. What to talk of the human body? So the body is just made through karma. Yeah, it's the karma that molds this body. Yeah. So the pain in the hands and legs is built into that hand and leg. What about the pain in the head? It is also built in. What about the pain in the neck? That is also built in. The karma creates the body. Out of what? The sanchita ball. One little dough is broken off. That is called prarabdha. And another way I like to look at prarabdha is what? It's a suitcase with a combination lock. Yeah. And in our suitcases, if they have combination lock, one person always knows the combination. Who is that? Don't say Bhagavan, okay? Yeah. Huh? No, I'm talking of other than the owner. Owner, of course, has to know. Yeah. Huh? Ah. Or TSA, they somehow know because they have some tools that bypass that lock. Yeah. What does TSA stand for? They saw all. There is nothing they haven't seen. So, so you see, so here, even the TSA official, you know, famous as they may be, they don't have the combination for the Prarabdha suitcase lock. Yeah. And you carry that everywhere without paying baggage fees. Think about it. And without it being subject to security. Even the TSA people with their little gloves cannot, rummage through your Papa Punya Prarabdha suitcase. Yeah. It opens spontaneously, and some happy things are released. What youth consider happy things are released, and some other times, what? A pain in the neck literally is released, and then you have no control over it. And every baby comes with a full suitcase. Yeah. And the suitcase is invisible, but it is delivered along with the baby. Yeah. And then what? Then over the course of time, the suitcase becomes empty, emptier, 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 emptier. It empties, empties, empties. And when it finally empty, what happens? Tata, bye bye. Because there's nothing more to experience. Gone. And then the person also comes with an empty suitcase, similarly with the combination lock. For what? Agami karma. This is in case of the non-wise person. Other wise person. Not the wise person, but the one who is other than wise. And so that empty suitcase fills up, fills up, fills up, fills up, fills up. And when it is totally full, nothing else will fit. Tata bye bye to this body, mind, sense complex. This is Agami karma. And where does the suitcase go? Back from Sanchita. And where does that full suitcase come from? From Sanchita. Do you see how the Sanchita is always full? So those are the two suitcases with which two bags one is allowed to carry. Yeah, one has two carry-ons. Yeah, two carry-ons. And you don't know the weight of them. You cannot sort of say, okay, now how much is left? You cannot tell. Yeah, you cannot tell at all. No matter how old one is. And then you cannot tell, you just make some assumptions. That the whole life is, plans are made on assumption. Retirement is made on assumption. Thinking that there will be somebody to retire. I make plans. Everything is an assumption. So body, mind, sense complex, all this is a gift of Prarabdha. And this is the sanest thing that the Hindu Dharma has to offer. It doesn't make one fatalistic. It's a very sophisticated understanding of Prarabdha. What does it do? It makes one wise, relatively speaking. You know why? Why? Why does it make one wise? Because, it makes me take responsibility. It makes me look at my life without blaming myself or others. Yeah. This is a very big gift. Because karma means I can't blame, who I shouldn't have been bad in my last lifetime. You don't even know what you were in your last lifetime. How can you blame yourself for your last lifetime? You can only know what you did now, and you can only be responsible for now. So therefore the self-blame goes. And the other blame goes when you know that this is all because of my own karma. So there's no need to blame myself. There is no need to blame others. And that is the true meaning of taking responsibility. Responsibility doesn't mean blame. Yeah. Responsibility means moving away from self-blame and other blame and seeing things for what they are. And when you see things for what they are, you have a way of correcting them. This is extremely important. Without knowing what it is, how are you going to correct? Yeah. And then it says, Prarabdham bhogena eva nashyati. Nashyati means what? Destroys. It is destroyed. How? Bhogena eva, through experience alone. A lot of people believe this, and this guru also is saying this. And to a certain extent, it's true. Prarabdha, how does Prarabdha go away? Prarabdha goes away through experiencing it. Why? Because the word prarabdha tells you what it really means. Prak arabdham karma, that which was done before. So that means the body itself is an expression of karma, means it has to go through its cycle. Yeah, it's like when the arrow is released, you know, Vyagra buddhya. When you think there is a tiger rustling behind the bushes and you release the arrow, Vivek Chudamani says, then what happens? Then you learn otherwise. Then you say, no, 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 it's just a poor goat. I meant to say go. Yeah, go. Go means what? Cow. It's a helpless cow or goat, doesn't matter. And then do you say, can you tell the arrow, come back? Or go in search of the real tiger? It's not, it's not going to oblige you. So it's like a released arrow is this prarabdha. It's going to whatever itself, expunge itself no matter what. You have to experience it. There is no other way. So but at the same time there is common sense. And what is the common sense? That which was made by karma, correct? What was prarabdha? A ball of karma. So can also be mitigated by karma, right? ah. So that which is a product of karma, what karma? Invisible karma. Invisible karma can also be mitigated by karma. So what is the remedial measures for papas done in other lifetimes, punyas done in this lifetime? Ah, it gives antibodies. Yeah, that is why for everybody, especially for the person interested in this knowledge, worship and daily connection to Ishvara and daily acts of deliberate worship is not an option. Yeah, you have to do this because every day the suitcase is opening, bringing with it not so good news. We are not talking of the good news, we can enjoy that. Yeah, but every day not so good news is opening. Therefore, I have to have a connection to the universe, to that source of the universe, to the divine, to Ishvara. I have to have a connection daily. And a place to lay the head is very important, a place to surrender that at the very, and if the prarabdha is not very strong, it will be nullified. This is true. Even the prarabdha that has to be endured, if it is not too strong, prabala prarabdha, if it is not, it can be nullified. And even if it is very strong, it can be mitigated to a certain extent. That is why one has to be prayerful. And in the Gita home study, we talked about how to convert acts of prayer into an attitude of being prayerful. That is what one has to do. Be prayerful. Be prayerful in everything that you do. And the prarabdha also, and even if it cannot be, totally nullified, it will give the strength. The antibodies of prayer will give the strength to, surmount whatever is to come. So therefore, and also the prarabdha becomes very important in terms of a Vedantin's life, because some of the programming could be to take one away from the teachings and the teacher. Disconnection. Yeah. That disconnection is it's in fact, it should be another whole topic of a series of talks. Vedanta and disconnection. This real dissociation, overcoming dissociation through Vedanta. It should be a really, yeah, yeah. Next time we will do that. Next time, because this is really important. Because every jiva is PTSD. Really, birth itself is a shock. Life is a shock. Yeah, shock means what? Shoka. Yeah, that is what it is. Ah. So then then the samsara itself is a shock. And so this dissociation happens when very young. And what is this dissociation? Mummy doesn't like me. That is the dissociation. Starts very young. And the mother is fallible, father is fallible. And I was telling somebody the other day, at least in the olden times, if the mother, father were, not able to take care of the child or were mean to the child, there would always be uncles, aunts, and grandparents. There would be some lap would be there. Now every lap has a laptop. There is no place for a child. So therefore the children grow up very dissociated, especially in in this thing. So that same feeling of, like, why didn't father, love me, why didn't mother support me, all these feelings, they can only be resolved at when one recognizes the father and the mother of the universe, when one discovers the father and the mother of the universe, which is Ishvara. Yeah, and that's why we have so many shrines in Eugene. Yeah, you know, you have to discover the father and the mother of the universe. And that father and mother are finally infallible. That father and mother will never hurt, never talk back, thank God. And, and whatever you say, they will listen. And whatever you say, they will say Namaha. And you will also say Namaha. It's a Namaha fest. And then what? It's just beautiful. And that pain finally resolves when you see everything as a manifestation of that father and mother of the universe. And this is what one has to understand. It's not enough to just go to temples. It's not enough to just keep on building temples. That's another bimari, sickness. Keep on building temples. What temples are there? You please understand the meaning of that. It is an altar of surrender. And the prarabdha, to overcome prarabdha, we need these altars of surrender. You have to have an altar of surrender where you let go of that pain, a place where you can let go of the pain and sorrow of not having what you wanted and needed when back then, whenever it was. So this dissociation, is overcome. The dissociation is also part of this prarabdha. And that dissociation, if it is allowed to remain, it takes one away from the knowledge. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. Teacher is leaving, so the knowledge is also leaving. It happens. So the memory of this knowledge also goes. Yeah. And by the time, the teacher comes back and the classes start, then the person attends in the last few days, because by that much time it takes for the person to recover. Yeah. And that is why. Why? Because the same shock of the parent leaving is being reproduced again and again in all authority situations. Evam. It is this only. And therefore, I have to have something else to clutch a hold of, so that these acts of dissociations are not always carried out, so that I become my own slaughterhouse. I'm cutting my head off, I'm cutting my neck off all the time. Yeah. Instead of being fed by this knowledge, I'm keeping it in abeyance. I don't want this, can't handle this, don't want this thing, all these. That is why the worship is extremely important for a student of Vedanta. There is no way around it. The worship will overcome these dissociations. The prarabdha of dissociation is overcome by worship. And so one keeps the teaching and the teacher and the Ishvara in their places, and all is well when these three things are in their places. Yeah. This is what one has to do. So the prarabdha, it's not just bhogena nashyati. It is good to say bhogena nashyati. Through experience alone it is destroyed. Yeah, that explains why the wise person could have cancer, why the wise person could have so many, diabetes or whatever, so many chronic illnesses. We see Ramana Maharshi and so many people, had cancer. You cannot say, oh, that means you're not wise. Why? The body was made before the wisdom came. So therefore, whatever the body has to bring, it has to be experienced. But if one is a student, one should help oneself through this worship. There is no other way. To keep in line, to keep that heart channel open and connected to the teacher and the teachings is very, very important. So that is something which I wanted to add. Then, sanchitam karma brahmaiva ahamasmi iti निश्चय ज्ञानेन नश्यति आगामि कर्ममपि ज्ञानेन नश्यति. So there is a distinction made. The prarabdha karma is not destroyed by knowledge. Correct? Yeah. Why? Because it was born in the form of this body. So if the body is, thank God, the prarabdha karma is not destroyed by knowledge, because that means what? The person knows. The person knows. Tattvamasi. Died. So where would be the student? Nowhere. Nobody will come to this knowledge. Yeah. This room will not be full. Yeah. If I start to teach, they will say, no, not this knowledge. Because as soon as I know, gone, popped off. And then, but where would be the teacher? The teacher also would not be there. Why? Because the teacher himself or herself popped off as soon as the teacher said, I am this, I know, Dhrida Nishchaya has come, I know without a doubt I am this. What happened? Namo Namaha, Ram Nam Satya Hai, teacher got moksha, and then what? That is why the body continues, but the doership and enjoyership is not there. So the prarabdha, even though it may seem to the ajnani means what? Non-jnanis, yet to be jnanis, that this person is suffering. The person is not suffering. See, like when Swamiji is, something happens to his health, the whole ashrams are like, oh, what to do? Prayer start, puja start, a whole bevy of doctors with their stethoscopes come, and the one that is going around freely is Swamiji himself. Yeah. So you're so sick. Are you going to cancel your tour? No. And so are you going to stop this teaching? No. I think I will continue. So it becomes everybody else gets stressed out, but the jnani is not stressed out by prarabdha. Yeah, so this is something I can attest to the fact because I have been in those situations. Later on after class, I will tell you some stories. So then what? But then sanchita karma is destroyed how? Through knowledge. Oh, so this whole ananta koti janmanam sanchitam karma, sanchitam. Sam means very well, chitam collected. Nicely, which I collected for all these things. This big pie dough in a secret bank account. The whole thing is destroyed by knowledge. Yes, when one awakens to the truth of oneself, sanchita is but a dream. Agami is but a dream. Agami is destroyed by the doership being not there. Prarabdha is destroyed by the experiencership not there. Sanchita is destroyed by the knowledge. Kshiyanteja asya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. Usually there are two things in the life. What is that? Para and avara. Para means that which is Brahman, which is ultimate. Avara is this little tiny fellow who has complexes. When I am able to see that this avara is nothing but para, then all the karmas are destroyed. Agami karma is also destroyed. Further, kincha agami karmanam nalini dalagata jalavat jnanina sambandha nasti. Kincha, furthermore, yeah, no, I'm explaining. Kincha means furthermore, there is no connection for the wise person with not only is agami karma destroyed, furthermore, just like the water does not collect on the lotus leaf, wise people have no connection with agami karma because there is no sense of doership. I am doing this, not being there. Kartritvam has been destroyed. They all know Karta Purukh iti. So they don't, and the Purushaha is all Bhagavan. They know everything is Bhagavan. There is no I separate from Bhagavan. I am not the doer. It is understood. So therefore what? There is no karma for the Agami. Agami karma means the karma yet to come. Karma done in this life is not affecting the Jnani. Just like the water trembles on the lotus leaf, and what happens to the water? Drops off. Yeah, this is taken directly from, some other place. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. Bhuja Govindam. Yeah. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. That was in a different place, context. But here Nalini means lotus. Dala means, what is that? That leaf, pad, lily pad. On top of that, like the water shimmering on the lily pad doesn't make it wet because it has some small hairs, kind of furry. So the water just drops off without making the leaf wet. Even though it is in the water, it is not affected by the water. So even though The jnani may be in the world doing all kinds of actions. Those actions do not affect the jnani. Furthermore, then going further, yeah. So, idam, oh, we saw that. Sambandha, there is no connection at all. Kincha, ye, jnaninam suvanti, bhajanti, archayanti, तान् प्रति ज्ञानिकृतं आगामि पुण्यं गच्छति. Furthermore, further kincha, furthermore, one more kincha. What is that? See, karma has to have effects of karma, right? So if you do the karma, if you do something, it has to have an effect. So if a jnani does something, the effect will be there. The effect will not touch the person, but the effect will be produced. So the good karma that the jnani does are translated into punya. Like teaching Vedanta is a punya karma. Listening to Vedanta is also a punya karma. So the good karma that the jnani does are translated into punya, good karma. And who gets them? Very interesting. It says the ones who worship the jnani. Yeah. Ye janaha. All these people, jnaninam, second case, unto the jnani, what do? Stuvanti, praise the jnani. Bhajanti, worship the jnani, sing praises of the jnani. Archayanti, have shraddha towards the jnani. Then bhajanti also can be taken as serve. They do seva for the jnani. Then tan prati, towards them, jnani kritam agami punyam gachanti. So towards them, all the good karmas accumulated by the jnani go. Yeah. That is what it is. That is why Mundakopanishad says, Atmagyam hi archayet bhuti kamaha. So even if you want any samsaric gains, worship a person of knowledge, you will get it. Because their punya will help you propel whatever that little extra mile that you need. So therefore, having shraddha, doing seva, and worshipping the person of knowledge gives punya to the person, to the seeker. And then what? Of course, if this is true, then the opposite is also is true. Ye jnaninam nindanti dvishanti dukkha pradanam kurvanti tan prati jnanikritam sarvam agami kriyamanam yadvachyam karma papatmakam tadgacchati. Yeah. So then this is so next on the opposite side, those who abuse the jnani. How do you abuse the jnani? By words. Yeah. Who verbally say this is an idiotic person, and then dvishanti, those who hate the jnani, or dukkha pradanam kurvanti, or cause himsa, harm to the jnani, verbally, mentally, physically, etc., become the cause of discomfort for the jnani. What happens? Then for such people, the all the agami karma that is done by the jnani, which is what? Avachyam. Avachyam means wrong karma. If supposing the jnani does inadvertently, by chance, accidentally, all the papa of that agami karma goes to the haters, the causers of discomfort, and the abusers of the wise person. Yeah. That is why we say do not abuse anybody. And don't say anything bad about wise people. So, or anybody for that matter. But with a wise person, it carries an extra thing of becoming the recipient of any bad karma they may have. And what is the bad karma they would have? Like I said, stepping on an insect, small papas might be there. Or telling or giving advice which was either incorrectly interpreted or misinterpreted, or whatever, something didn't turn out and that person didn't have some kind of an acceptance and was pained. So all that could be also seen as some kind of, bad karma or residual karma. So the residual agami karma of the jnani, the good goes to the people who worship, and the not so good goes to the people who abuse, hate, and cause discomfort. तथा च
तथा च
आत्मवित्
आत्मवित्
संसारं तीर्त्वा
संसारं तीर्त्वा
ब्रह्मानन्दम्
ब्रह्मानन्दम्
इहैव
इहैव
प्राप्नोति.
प्राप्नोति.
In this manner, having thrown the shackles of all the three forms of karma that we just studied about, the jnani, the wise person, enjoys Brahman as oneself, as the truth of oneself, ihaiva, in this body, in this life, in this world itself, without needing to go anywhere or do anything, and becomes, what is that? Samsaram tirtva, from through to cross. Tirtva, having crossed. This samsara is, the word samsara is a very interesting word, Samsara means essence. The essence of samsara is somewhere else. That's why it's called samsara. The essence of the samsara is somewhere else. Where is it? In Brahman. So you cross the samsara. How? Through this understanding. It's not that you need some kind of a ship and you need some oars and you need some boatmen, to say row your boat. No. This rowing and all is just, wrong. It's just a metaphor. Really crossing the ocean of samsara means seeing that there is no ocean. Yeah, only devotion. That's the only ocean there is. There is no other ocean. And so these oceanic tears that one had shed for so many lifetimes, which just dries up in the face of this knowledge, I am the whole. So that crossing this knowledge, one gains whatever is to be gained right here, right now. And just as the Shruti says, what does the Shruti says? He repeats that. He quotes this. Tarati shokam atmaviditi shrutehe tarati shokam atmavid. Where have we seen that? Have we seen that first of all?
Yeah.
Where? Taitriya? Where have we seen that? From now on, we are not going to have any more Thanksgiving retreats.
Oh, yeah.
Tarati shokam atmavit. Atmavit, the knower of the Atma. Shokam. Shokam means shokam. Yeah, this sorrow. Tarati, he crosses. Who said that to whom? Who said that to whom? I've given a big hint. More than this, I cannot tell. I'm not telling. Narayana, no. Narada. Narada was the student, right? Okay, who was the teacher? Narada was the student, okay. Who was the teacher if Narada was the student? Sanat Kumara was the teacher. And then Narada was told by who? Sanat Kumara, yeah. Yeah, who knows? It could some other Kumara also can come, Yeah. And what did he say? The knower of the self crosses all sorrow. And why did he say that? Because Narada came in whining. Yeah. Narada came in crying. I know so much, yet I am subject to sadness. Please. Shokasya param tarayatu bhagavan. Oh Lord, oh teacher of teacher, oh revered one, please make me cross this ocean of sorrow. And then that is when it was told, what you know is nonsense. What one thing you need to know, you don't know. Everything else you know. What is the use? That when you know the sara of samsara, the sum drops and only you have sara. But if you only know some, the sara is missed. Sara means essence, the core. Yeah. So if you know only the sum of the sara, then it's a sad situation. So you should know that one thing, knowing which everything is known. Tanum tyajatu va काश्याम श्वपचस्य गृहे वा Shvapachasya grihe
स्वपचस्य गृहे
अथवा
अथवा
ज्ञान संप्राप्ति समये
ज्ञानसम्प्राप्तिसमये
मुक्तः असौ
मुक्तः असौ
विगताशयः
विगताशयः
इति स्मृतेश्च.
इति स्मृतेश्च.
Not only the Shruti, but the Smriti also says something. And what does the Smriti say? The Smriti says that, the person is liberated. The liberated person, the jnani, can die in Kashi. Die means cast off the body where? Tyajatu tanum. Tanum means body. Cast off. Tyajatu and means cast off. Relinquish the body where? Kashyam, in the holy city of Varanasi. You can give up the body in Varanasi, where it is considered a very good karma to give up the body in Varanasi. A lot of these people, they towards the end of their lives, a lot of widows, go there to Varanasi thinking, I want to die there only. And there happily they live for 25 years. Then they go south to visit their family and they will die there. So nothing goes as planned, Yeah. So Kashyam Dehe Tyajatu means you can give up your body in Kashi, in the holy city of Kashi, or in the most defiled places, where in the house or the slaughterhouse of a dog eater. Ah. Shwapachaha means dog, the one who cooks dogs, for every meal. So you can die there, or the jnani can die in the Kashi itself. It makes no, for the one vigata ashaya means for the one for whom all the abodes have gone. Abodes means they are not waiting to be liberated. Karana sharira is not there. Sthula sharira is resolved. Sukshma sharira is going. It's all resolved because the causal body, the ajnanam, is resolved. So for such a one, jnana samprapti samaye, even at the beginning of gaining the knowledge, even at the time of gaining the knowledge, the person is free. So the time of death is not at all, and the manner of death is not at all important. This is what the Smriti says. Because it's not about death, it's about being free while living. So it doesn't matter how the death takes place. Iti
इति
Tattvabodha Prakaranam
तत्त्वबोधप्रकरणं
Samaptam.
समाप्तं.
Thus ends the wonderful text known as Tattvabodha. And usually we have to see the beginning. Vasudevendra Yogindram
वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रं
Natva Jnanapradam Gurum
नत्वा ज्ञानं प्रदं गुरुं
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय
Tattvabodho Bhidhiyate.
तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते.
Since it's a prose text, we have to read one sentence of prose. Sadhana Chatushtaya
साधनचतुष्टया
Sampanna
सम्पन्न
Adhikarinam
अधिकारिणां
Moksha
मोक्ष
Sadhana
साधन
Bhutam
भूतं
Tattva Viveka
तत्त्वविवेक
Prakaram
प्रकारं
Vakshyamaha.
वक्ष्यामः.
Yeah, where have we studied this before? At the beginning. Why are we starting again? To show that the knowledge never ends. It just comes a full cycle. And to encourage you to go back and study this online. Yeah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Any questions are there? You don't want to keep it here? Okay. Take it home and study it online. That's a good thing, no? Yeah. Open this. What is this? Let us see. Yeah.
The Sanchikam Karma, this hidden account,
Huh? Hidden account. Yeah.
is it's collected over countless wise, but can it be a place of preventive practices? The benefit of doing practices are stored also.
No. It's not like that. When you say karma, it's papa and punya, both. Yes. Papa and punya are both stored. It's not like if you, I don't know what exactly you're asking, but if you're asking that if I did yoga last life, will it be stored in Sanchita? Will the good, toned body be stored in Sanchita? No. That is, tatra eva praviliyate, there itself it has gone. Now, one thing I can say is that if you've done some good karma in the last life, that is also locked into the prarabdha suitcase. Yeah, it is there. It will also come out. Yeah. That is why we have to do good karma now to balance that out. To the more we worship, the more worshipful one is. The prarabdha, which is the little portion of sanchita, goes down. Yeah, in this life, it becomes much more prayerfully lived. I have one online. I'll come to you. I understand Jnani attains non-doership in this life, so doesn't have to carry the Sanchita karma. Or will that also be dissolved? It is dissolved. It is dissolved. No. By attaining the knowledge, yeah, we are liberated. Not by one person attaining the knowledge, all are liberated. By one person attaining the knowledge, one person is liberated. Everybody do your own homework. Yeah. Was that your question?
No, I asked that question last night.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That was your question, right? Yeah. So, so much fun. Yes, what is your question?
So, like, my father in the 70s has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My mother-in-law and my niece is suffering from Parkinson's. So that's all stuff that they were born
Yes,
with.
the body itself was born with that. With the what is that? With the yes, with the proclivity. Thank you very much. Well, that's exactly the word I was looking. With the proclivity for that. Yeah.
So they need to go through that.
They need to go through that.
And I shouldn't be like upset about it.
You can be upset, but it won't be of much use. Yeah.
Like thinking that there's
Yeah,
something I
and you
should
see,
be
the
doing.
thing is, your upset is also part of your karma, which you are free to transcend, and that is the level at which you can influence. The more you are worshipful, the more you see that as Bhagavan, and not that you will just leave them to their devices. You will help whatever way you can, naturally. Whatever you can do, you will do. Beyond that, they are in the hands of God, and the Alzheimer, the forgetting is an act of God. The Parkinson is an act of God. It's all Bhagavan, manifestation. We have to learn to accept what comes. Yeah. That is the lesson of Prarabdha.
I have a question about Mahavakya.
Mahavakya, yes.
And so it's any statement that draws a relationship between Jiva and Brahman.
Identity between not Jiva and Brahman, Jiva and Ishvara.
Jiva and
Ah.
Ishvara.
Ah.
So the verse on page 57 is talking about the knower of Atma.
Yeah, Shokam Tarati Atmavit is a Mahavakya. Because the knower of Atma crosses sorrow. Yeah. The one who crosses sorrow is the knower of Atma. The knower of Atma is Ishvara, and Ishvara, knowing oneself as Ishvara, there is no sorrow.
So there's many.
Mahavakyas, yes.
In this one I can see them.
Yes. In Upanishad there are many.
Okay.
In Gita also there are many.
And so this is why it's said in a single lesson is everything?
Yes. Because it's the same thing in every Upanishad. The same things are taught. How? So that in different ways. Yeah. So in one there will be a woman teacher, in one there will be a masculine teacher, one there will be a young teacher, one there will be an old teacher, there will be different kinds of students. So that any block and likes and dislikes based situations that one has, one overcomes and is able to see that. Yeah. Because sometimes people say, I don't like this story, I'm not going to study this Upanishad, I'm going to switch off. Yeah.
So, in essence, a prayerful life, a prayerful attitude is one that has the Mahavakya
A prayerful life need not be with the Mahavakya. There could be people who are not studying the Upanishad that are leading prayerful lives. I would like to say two things. One is the prayerful life helps you to prepare, to understand, receive, and abide in the Mahavakya as yourself. Number one. And for the person who is contemplating on the Mahavakya, the prayerful life helps one go deeper in Shraddha. So it's an auxiliary preparation. Yeah. Both those things are there. Any other questions?
Prarabdha karma. So
Yeah.
if a person has the knowledge, then what happens to prarabdha karma?
Prarabdha, it becomes other people's prarabdha. Two things. Yeah. It becomes other people. Like I told, that's why I told you. When Swamiji, is slightly ill, you think about this. The whole ashram is running around and tearing out its hair in clumps. Why? Because they need Swamiji more than Swamiji needs his own body. Yeah. Swamiji is perfectly fine. Whatever happens, he accepts. Whatever happens, he accepts. And then, the other people get heart attacks or mind attacks. Why? Because they want to preserve this amazing body of knowledge, which is Swamiji's body. So if the body is there, then it will continue to teach. So saying thus, they want to preserve this body. So everybody goes awry, and it becomes their karma to take care of this body. Swamiji is unaffected. So the jnani will be unaffected no matter what happens. And then the jnani may have physical discomfort, may go to hospital, may have to take medicines, may get stomach ache, leg ache, body ache, heart attack, cancer, whatever it is. But to the person who is not a jnani, it may seem that they are going through the same process that anybody with a heart attack would go through. But that is not true. That is not true. Because for the jnani, this is just experienced at the level of the body. No, it does not translate into the mind and the senses and why me and doer and experiencer. There is no identification with what is happening. Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
then I feel like, so for the jnani then, why does that jnani's body get this affliction?
Yeah, Jnani's body gets affliction because the affliction was built into the DNA, the karmic DNA of the body. Yeah. It was built into this thing. Huh?
Is it like you say, like the bite of
Yeah, it's like the bite of a baby which doesn't have teeth. 2-3 month old baby, if you put your hand in its mouth and it jaws down, it clamps down the jaws. Nothing happens to your finger, right? Yeah. But after 6-7 months, you'd better not put your hand in its mouth. Those tiny teeth are very sharp. So the karma doesn't have a bite. It happens, but it doesn't happen. Yeah. Because it's not, when there is no feeling like this is mine and this is me, and so when you don't feel like this is me, it just happens. So the jnani is perfectly happy whatever comes. So they will not even go to the doctor and try to rectify it. So then they are just going around like this. So it becomes the problem of the other people to take care of them. That's what happens. Yes.
I think we mentioned this before, but it's possible too that the jnani takes on pain that other people would have a hard time handling.
That's some kind of, I wouldn't say takes on. That is something I've always had some, what's the word for it? I have always been intrigued by that. Let us say that's definitely a belief. People do say that, they say that, oh, this person took away my karma. The taking away may happen, but it's the same like Bhagavan. Jnani is the same as Bhagavan. So when Bhagavan Ishvara takes away your toothache, then Ishvara doesn't sit like this, with a bandage on the mouth. Why? Because your toothache Ishvara got. And if Ishvara takes away your headache, Ishvara doesn't need aspirin and head balm, Ishvara doesn't need Excedrin to Naivedya, Prana Swaha. Why? Because the dissipation happens and is total without needing the true dissipation is that dissipation which happens without needing to take it on. Correct? Without needing to take it on. So, and I say I'm intrigued because sometimes what could happen is that if the body of the jnani is a, because it's a human body, it's what's the word for it? It is compromised physically, and maybe in the process of dissipation, it could be that there is some residue, you know, or sometimes the jnani might take it on and physically manifest those symptoms that the bhakta, the devotee, had in order to make a point, in order to show something, not for any other reason. These are the only two reasons. Yeah. That is not something that would inspire me. Like supposing if I went to somebody, you know, and somebody said, I have taken your karma and now I'm suffering from a headache, that's a guilt trip, you know, and I would feel bad. Like, you know,
I didn't mean like that.
yeah,
I just meant that so often people who are very, very high people
yeah.
seem to suffer very much physically, even though they're fine because they don't mind.
Yeah, that's why I said it's
So that they-
intriguing.
so that they
It's
can
intriguing.
take the physical
Yeah, it's
because it doesn't
intriguing.
bother them.
Yeah,
They
it is
say-
intriguing. It
They don't
is,
say it, but
they
they
d-
just do it,
yeah.
and they have it. And
It
others
could
they
be.
don't.
It could be. I don't know. I'm always intrigued by the Upanishad is silent on it. The Shastra doesn't say anything. Nobody says anything. This is something which we have to come to our own conclusions about. But I do think that it is, if the jnani takes it on, or if it is, if any, you know, devotees pain is resolved, and then you see the signs of that same pain in the jnani's body, it could be that the body was not strong enough to fully dissipate it, and some of it lingered, or maybe the jnani wanted to make a point. So it could be. I won't say that that's wrong. I would say that that is possible. Yeah. But usually it is gone. It's dissipated in the same way that Ishvara dissipates. Yes.
Is there anything in the Vedas that talks about where teaching takes place?
Where means physically?
Where physically, is there a better place or any prescribed?
Yeah, the Veda.
Situation.
Yeah, the Veda talks about this thing. The Veda says a lot about the teaching situation.
In what?
So many things. First of all, it should not be in the middle of a city, like ashrams. Therefore, I mean, physical location means it should be a little bit away. You know, not as much away as Georgia was, but but little bit away. So that, you know, when you go there, what happens, you feel a sense of clearing, and even in the going there you feel some transformation happens, correct? So that is one thing. And then the teaching also happens at certain times, and certain days are not good for teaching, the Veda says. Like full moon, there is not a class. 14th day, there is no class. Ashtami, Navami, there is no class. So every other day, every other week is a long weekend. It's fun. It's fun. It's called Anadhyayana. Yeah, Anadhyayana means not, this is the day, the full moon, everyone's mind is affected one way or the other. So we don't teach on that day. I mean, in the olden days, this used to be followed. Then where the teacher should sit, there is also this thing, you know, the teacher sits facing south generally, and then you know, not a rule but generally, and or facing east or south, and then the students will face west or north, and then the students sit on the floor. Why? Because the floor is a best place to learn. One is grounded, literally, and then the floor also, one is comfortably uncomfortable, you know, comfortable enough to listen, uncomfortable enough to fall asleep. So then that is why, you know, we don't have couches in the teaching space, you know. Couch, overstuffed couch means what? First the overstuffed body sits on the overstuffed couch, and then finished, you know. Then that is why. So all these things are given. Yeah, some prescriptions are there.
The mind, is that actually associated with the brain, or does the consciousness, like when this brain goes away, does my mind go away, or does the consciousness somehow continue?
Consciousness doesn't need the brain or the mind to
Right,
continue,
so-
but the consciousness is reflected in the mind. So if the brain goes away, and you know, the mind is expressed in part, the part of the mind is expressed through the activities of the brain, we would just say the consciousness is there, but it's not expressing itself. That is what would happen if somebody had dementia. Consciousness is there. So even if the jnani loses the mind, is the jnani has Alzheimer's, means that the knowledge doesn't go anywhere. The jnani is still free, doesn't remember that anything, day-to-day things. That's all.
But once you die,
Then there is no rebirth. Why? Because the physical body goes to the physical elements. The sukshma sharira. The sukshma sharira means the what is sukshma sharira? Subtle body goes to the subtle elements. That's why we saw in such detail what happens to the physical and the subtle things. And the causal body, don't say goes to the causal elements. The causal body is destroyed. The causal body is ignorance. The ignorance is destroyed. So the subtle body goes to its source. The physical body goes to its source. And there is no cause for rebirth. And while living, the person was worshipped as Bhagavan. After the body falls off, the person is still worshipped as Bhagavan, joins Bhagavan. No difference. The person continues to be as a source of blessing to all the people who invoke him or her. Yeah. Take prasad, come. Open this. Come. What you brought for me, milk?
Keeper.
Keeper?
Keeper.
Kefir, yeah. थांबा थोडं हा हो मला जायचंय बाहेर हो पाऊस येणार आहे ना बघू मग नंतर Are you glad you came? See, I was missing you. I'm glad you're here. Oh, you got.
You knew I would be here, and I'll be here tomorrow.
Of course.
And I will need to leave and miss the good food, but
That's fine. Yeah, just tell Soumya, she's keeping it. You can leave after the program, no